30 meters below the sea, a cave entrance led to a world that had been sealed for 30,000 years. Behind the entrance lay a dry chamber, untouched since the last ice age, where ancient humans once stood.
On the walls, painted horses and bison still run, drawn by artists who lived before the last ice age ended. Beside the paintings, a fire once burned, and its ashes still lie where they fell 30,000 years ago. The sea had risen and sealed this place, hiding it from the world above for 300 centuries. What did the last ice age leave behind in the dark? This coast is famous for its light, its sea, and its ancient cities. But beneath the water lies something far older. 37 meters below the surface, a narrow tunnel opens in the rock, the gateway to a world sealed by the sea. The tunnel rises through the rock, a flooded passage that once was dry when the sea lay far below. Here, the water ends, and a dry chamber begins, a place where time has stood still for 30,000 years. The chamber is silent and cold, its air untouched by the world above for 300 centuries. The cave is a bubble of ancient air, sealed by the rising sea, its entrance now hidden far below the surface. Each drop of water in this cave has been falling for 30,000 years, a clock that never stops. From above, there is no sign of the cave, only the endless blue, hiding a secret that survived the Ice Age. When the Ice Age ended, the sea rose, and the cave was sealed, preserving its contents like a time capsule. So the impossible question is not only what this cave holds, but how much of our ancient past still lies hidden beneath the sea. In 1985, a professional diver named Henri Cosquer was exploring the coast near Marseille when he found something that should not have been there. The entrance was a narrow tunnel in the rock, 37 meters below the surface, invisible from above. The tunnel rose through the rock, and after a long, dark passage, it opened into air. When the diver surfaced inside, he found a dry cave, cold and silent, its air untouched for millennia. As the dust was brushed away, the wall revealed a red handprint, pressed there by someone 30,000 years ago. The walls were covered with images, horses, bison, and human hands, a gallery sealed by the sea. Small pieces of charcoal lay on the floor, the remains of fires that once warmed the artists who painted here. The cave was a natural time capsule, its entrance flooded for thousands of years, its contents preserved by the sea. Over millennia, a thin layer of calcite formed over the paintings, sealing them in stone and saving them from decay. The discovery of the Cosquer Cave opened a window into a world that had been lost beneath the sea for 30,000 years. The journey to the cave begins at the surface, with a slow descent into a world of increasing blue and silence. At 37 meters, the rock face opens into a narrow tunnel, barely visible in the blue darkness. The tunnel is narrow and dark, a flooded passage that demands slow, careful movement. The rock walls are ancient, shaped by water and time, and the tunnel holds the memory of every journey through it.
After long minutes in the dark, the tunnel rises and the water ends, opening into air.
The surface is still, as it has been for thousands of years, a perfect mirror between the sea and the cave. The chamber is vast and silent, a space that has not heard a human voice since the Ice Age. The descent is not just a journey through water, but a journey back in time, to a world before the sea rose. The air itself feels heavy with time, as if the cave has been holding its breath for millennia. The descent ends here, where the water gives way to stone, and the stone gives way to memory. The paintings of Cosquer Cave include horses, drawn with a few simple strokes, but alive with movement. This horse was drawn 30,000 years ago, Yet its eye still watches from the rock. The bison were painted with a heavy, deliberate hand, their bodies solid and real, creatures of a lost world. Red hand stencils cover the wall, some with missing fingers, a language we are still trying to read. Among the animals and hands are geometric signs, their meaning lost with the people who made them. One painting shows a seal, a creature of the cold, a reminder that this coast was once an Ice Age shore. Together, the images form a gallery, a place where the animals and spirits of the Ice Age still live. Modern scanning has revealed details invisible to the eye, layering the art in digital form for future generations. The same water that preserved the paintings now threatens them, as calcite slowly covers the images. A hand, pressed to the stone 30 millennia ago, still reaches toward us. In the center of the cave, a shallow pit still holds the remains of a fire that burned 30,000 years ago. The hearth contains charcoal and burnt bone, the last traces of meals cooked in the fire's glow. For a moment, the cave remembers its fire, and the shadows of the past seem to move again.
Near the fire, a flint blade still lies, a tool used by hands that vanished long ago.
Burnt bone fragments show that the cave's inhabitants cooked and ate by the fire, sharing meals in the dark. Around the hearth, the floor is scattered with the small debris of daily life, left exactly where it fell. Above the hearth, soot still stains the ceiling, the last trace of smoke that rose from the fire. After the fire died, time did its work, covering the hearth and its secrets beneath dust and stone. The hearth is cold now, but it still holds the memory of warmth and of the people who gathered around it. 30,000 years ago, the coast was different, the sea far lower, and the land stretched far beyond where it does today. Herds of bison and wild horses roamed the plains, the same animals later painted on the cave walls. The sea was colder then, and ringed seals rested on the rocks, their presence recorded in the cave's paintings. The cave that is now underwater was once high above the shore, a shelter overlooking the ancient sea. Pollen from the cave floor preserves the plants of the Ice Age, a record of a colder, drier world. The glaciers of the last Ice Age held much of the world's water, keeping the sea far below its present level. Pine forests grew near the cave, their pollen falling on the floor where the artists walked.
The Ice Age was driven by slow changes in Earth's orbit and tilt, a cycle that has repeated throughout history.
As the ice melted, the sea rose, and the shoreline moved inland, until the entrance to the cave slipped beneath the waves. The Ice Age world is gone, but inside the cave, its memory still lives in stone and paint.
When the last Ice Age ended, the great ice sheets began to melt, and the sea began to rise.
Meltwater poured into the oceans, and the sea rose higher and higher, century after century. The sea reached the cave, and for the first time in thousands of years, water began to enter the chamber. The tunnel filled with water, but the upper chamber remained dry, sealed by the sea itself. The water settled in the tunnel, forming a barrier that would protect the cave for millennia. Inside the sealed chamber, the air remained still, and the paintings waited in the dark. Over centuries, the sea made the entrance its own, covering it with life and hiding it from the world above. The sea rose about 120 meters, drowning the entrance but leaving the upper cave intact. Today, the entrance lies 37 meters below the surface, invisible from above, a secret kept by the sea. The rising sea did not destroy the cave. It protected it, sealing its secrets in darkness for 30,000 years. The flint blade is sharp still, its edge worn by use, a tool left behind by the cave's last visitors. Burnt bone fragments revere what the cave's inhabitants ate and how they cooked by the fire. Pollen from the cave floor tells us what plants grew outside and how the climate changed. The layers of sediment record the cave's history, each band a chapter in its long life. Radiocarbon dating places the oldest evidence in the cave at around 30,000 years before the present. The red ochre used for the handprints was brought into the cave, a pigment prepared with care. A shell fragment, left far above the sea, confirms that the coast was once much lower. The flooding of the tunnel created a stable, sealed environment, preserving the cave's contents for millennia. The same water that sealed the cave now slowly changes it, depositing calcite that covers the art. Together, the evidence tells a story of a cold coast, a hidden cave, and a people who left their mark in stone. The cave survived because the sea sealed it, creating a stable environment that protected everything inside. Calcite, deposited by dripping water, formed a protective skin over the paintings, locking them in stone. The temperature and humidity inside the cave remained nearly constant for thousands of years, preventing decay. Salt crystals on the walls mark the highest reach of the sea, evidence of the water that once filled the tunnel. The same water that preserved the cave also slowly dissolves and redeposits its minerals, changing the art over time. The chemistry of the cave is a slow dance of minerals, water, and air, preserving the past in a fragile balance. The high humidity kept the pigments from drying out, while the still air prevented the growth of molds that destroy other caves. Each crystal is a record of the cave's chemistry, but also a slow veil over the images, a balance between saving and hiding. Today, the cave faces a new challenge. The sea is rising again, and the chamber's airspace is slowly shrinking. The scientific explanation is not a single answer, but a chain of conditions that, together, saved a world in the dark. The Cosquer Cave is not alone. Beneath the seas of the world, other caves hold art and evidence from the distant past. In Mexico, cenotes lead to submerged caves where ancient Maya left offerings and the bones of the dead. In the Caribbean, flooded caves preserve stalactites and stone tools, evidence of a time when the sea was far below. As the sea rose, it swallowed coastlines and caves across the world, hiding the traces of ancient people beneath the waves. Stalagmites from drowned caves record climate changes in their layers, like tree rings of stone. Among these submerged sites, Cosquer stands out for its age and its art, one of the oldest painted caves in the world. The story of Cosquer is part of a larger story, the flooding of the ancient coastlines at the end of the Ice Age. Underwater archaeology has only begun to explore the drowned landscapes of the last Ice Age. Around the cave, the seafloor still holds stone tools, lost by the people who lived on the ancient shore. The cave is one window into a drowned world, and the sea still holds far more than we have found.
Why did the Ice Age artists paint these animals deep inside a cave, far from the light and the world they lived in?
The animals are not mere decoration. Their eyes are alive, as if the painters captured their spirits. In the firelight, the paintings would have seemed to move, the animals dancing on the walls as shadows played around them. The handprints are not just art. They are statements of presence, left by people saying, "I was here." Some hands are missing fingers, a pattern seen in other Ice Age caves, and no one knows if it was ritual, injury, or code. Some of the paintings are placed where the cave echoes most, as if sound and image were part of the same ritual. Some researchers suggest the paintings mark seasons or celestial events, a calendar of stone and light. The ochre was prepared, mixed, and applied with care, a craft passed down through generations. The painters were hunter-gatherers, living with the animals they drew, perhaps honoring them, perhaps hunting them, perhaps both. The twist is this: the cave was not only a refuge, it was a sanctuary where art, sound, and shadow met the sacred. Despite decades of study, parts of the Cosquer Cave remain unexplored, hidden beyond flooded passages and collapsed rock. A collapsed passage may lead to chambers that no one has ever entered, still sealed by stone and time. Some paintings are too faded to read, their meaning lost, even though the pigment survives. Mapping the cave is slow and dangerous, and large sections remain beyond the reach of current technology. A few bones remain unidentified, too fragmentary to tell what animals or people once lived here.
The rising sea may one day reclaim the upper chamber, taking the remaining mysteries with it.
Some figures are already hidden by calcite, their details lost before they could be fully recorded. Climate projections suggest the cave's airspace will shrink further, making access and preservation even harder. The water that sealed the cave still guards its secrets, and perhaps it always will. The remaining mystery is not what the cave has shown us, but what it still hides, and what it will take to the deep if the sea returns. Small underwater robots are now mapping the flooded passages of caves like Cosquer, reaching places no diver can safely enter. Laser scanning is creating a digital twin of the cave, preserving every surface and painting in perfect detail.
Tiny sensors now monitor the cave's climate, helping scientists understand how to protect it from decay.
Full-scale replicas now allow the public to experience the cave without entering it, protecting the original from damage.
Remote camera rigs are documenting the underwater sections in detail, creating a permanent record of the cave. Virtual reality is bringing the cave to the world, allowing anyone to step inside without risking the fragile paintings. Water samples from the flooded tunnel reveal the chemistry that has preserved the cave for millennia. Climate models help researchers plan for the future, but the cave's long-term survival depends on slowing the rise of the sea. Above the cave, research continues as scientists work to understand and protect a site that belongs to all of humanity. The future of the cave is not just exploration, but preservation, ensuring that the hands of the Ice Age remain for future generations. This hand was pressed to the stone 30,000 years ago, but it could be your hand, or mine, reaching out of the dark. The artists who painted these animals saw the world differently, but they still felt wonder, fear, and the need to leave a mark.
The moment of making the handprint was brief, but its echo has lasted 30,000 years.
By the fire, they shared food and stories, the same things we do today, in a world that was colder and darker, but not so different. Beside an adult hand, a smaller print suggests a child was lifted to the wall, leaving their mark alongside their elders. The soot on the ceiling is a signature of their presence, the smoke of their fires still clinging to the stone. The cave is a bridge between their world and ours, a place where human expression has survived everything time could throw at it.
The paintings have already outlasted the people who made them, and they may outlast us too. We will never know their names, but we know them. They made art, they kept fire, and they left their hands on the wall. The hand on the wall is not a relic, it is a gesture, and 30,000 years later, it still reaches us. We began with a hand reaching toward a painted wall underwater, and we end with the same sea, still holding its secrets. The entrance remains, a narrow door in the rock, waiting for those who know where to look. The cave is a bubble of the past, preserved by water and stone, a world that should have been lost. The paintings have endured because water and stone protected them, but the same forces now threaten to take them back. As the sun sets on the surface, the cave below remains unchanged,
a world apart from the rhythm of our days. The ochre is the same red that colors the hands, a reminder that the painters were real people, working with real materials. The sea that sealed the cave also saved it, and the same sea now threatens it. The cave is not just a discovery, it is a witness, holding the memory of people who lived, loved, and left their mark. The cave is one of many secrets beneath the sea, and the ocean still covers most of our past, waiting for the next generation of explorers.
The file is closed. The mystery remains.